Chairman Wicker, thank you. Governor Raimondo, thank you for being with us today, and thank you for the conversation we've had recently. Let me start with an issue for me as an appropriator. As we discussed yesterday, I chair the subcommittee on appropriations that funds the Department of Commerce. We raised with you yesterday, and I want to do so again today, a couple of large mission, critical, high-cost items within the Department of Commerce's budget. Two of the department's largest bureaus, NOAA and NIST, are both facing crises as it relates to recapitalizing aging and, in some cases, obsolete infrastructure. I recently visited the NOAA Aircraft Operations Center, where I learned about the need to recapitalize the agency's fleet of Hurricane Hunter aircraft, an effort that will require more than $600 million in funding before 2024. Likewise, earlier this year, I visited the NIST campus in Boulder, Colorado, and the laboratories clearly are aging, and they are housing some of our nation's most premier scientists tasked with some of our country's most challenging issues in science and technology. So, unfortunately, the funding crisis for these capital costs are often not included in the department's budget or in those agencies' budgets request. It's difficult to take things out of everyday operations and put them into things that are necessary for long-term benefits. But I would ask you, if you will, include and prioritize in the department's budget request that we will see later this year, and commit to testifying before our subcommittee in regard to these and the other appropriation items.
Thank you, Senator, and thank you for bringing this up as you did yesterday. So first, let me say I certainly concur that some of the finest scientists and mathematicians in America are at NIST and at the department, and they do deserve adequate facilities. And I will commit to looking into this and learning more, and certainly coming back to you should I be confirmed.
Governor, thank you. I raised also with you in our conversation something I wanted to raise again because I don't know that it will be mentioned by anyone else, and I wouldn't expect you to be terribly knowledgeable about this topic, but it's the topic of fertilizer, phosphate fertilizer that farmers use to grow crops. It's the second most important fertilizer behind nitrogen. And on February 8th, just a few days from now, Commerce is scheduled to make a final determination on countervailing duties on phosphate fertilizers from Morocco, which is one of our nation's largest suppliers. Since the CVD investigation began, the price for those fertilizers in the United States has increased approximately 25%. The higher prices are being passed on to farmers, increasing their input costs, and it comes at an always challenging time for farmers and ultimately comes at a very challenging time for consumers. Governor, I need to highlight this issue and hope that in making a final determination on those duties on phosphate fertilizers, you will assure me that you will take into account the broad impact of those duties that they have on the agricultural economy, on input costs, and on the consumer. And I would ask you to consult. I have a conversation with nominee Governor Vilsack, Secretary Vilsack, to have this conversation as well, and I'm going to encourage him to visit with you about this issue before February the 8th. I need some reassurance that you understand the magnitude and challenge of this issue for everyday farmers and ranchers in this country.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for bringing it up. I know your passion for this, and I appreciate your advocacy on behalf of your constituents. Yes, as with all countervailing duties and tariffs, I understand the pain that some of these decisions can cause to farmers in your state, and I absolutely look forward to working with you and Secretary Vilsack. I look forward to a strong relationship with him generally as it relates to all export policies for agriculture and farmers and imports.
Two other items that I was intended to bring up or have been brought up by others. I would highlight them again for you. The Privacy Shield also has a consequence for data privacy that Senator Blumenthal and I in particular have worked on. And also Senator Blunt raised this morning the issue of 232 tariffs, and I appreciate the conversation we had on those. Finally, I would say Governor, you have prioritized everyone's request for things that you prioritize. And so I would finally ask you, will you prioritize my requests over the priorities of other members of this committee?
Don't thank him for that question.
That's probably one commitment I surely cannot make.
Senator